Hey, alright, so this will be a feedback slash critique for Speed of Milk. You already know who I am. I go by TK Shazam on the Discords. I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and talking about it. This review is going to focus on the Reina match, but I also watched the Brian one, right? And I want to focus more on the Reina match, and I'll talk a little bit about the Brian one after. And the overarching theme is I feel like you have two opposing issues here for some reason. I'm not sure why, but in this Reina match, you just do not respect this player at all, right? And you need to respect them more. You keep trying to challenge or steal your turn back or do something on offense when you don't need to. You can just block. And against the Brian, you were way too respectful. And when the Brian was not blocking low or not breaking throws, you needed to push them more. It only seemed like you had a stronger focus on lows and throws near the end of the round, which does nothing for you, right? But we'll talk about that later. For right now, I want to highlight some of the areas in the Reina match, give you my feedback, and then we'll talk more. Okay, so right immediately, I'm not sure if it's because you guys had played before. I do see 2 wins on the Reina. I'm not sure why you start with back three or any move, to be honest. In my experience, 90% of the time when you fight someone online, they are just mashing buttons and they are will throw anything out at round start. Just backdash. Get more comfortable with just letting your opponent take the first step and try to figure out what type of opponent you're facing. Do they immediately press buttons? Do they start running away at first, right? And then that will quickly influence how you should be playing the game. Against this Reina, they are very aggressive, and you need to just clean up your defense because the offensive opportunities for Paul is not always going to be him initiating. A lot of times it's going to be him with a whiff punish or a block punish. And this Reina was throwing everything out. So, a little bit of matchup knowledge and combine that with a read on the opponent, and you would have gotten a lot of offensive opportunities. But you need to block. So I'm not sure what's causing the back three to be a round starter for you, but I don't just block backdash if you have to. I think backdash works fine. See what the opponent likes to do first, and then figure out, do you really want to challenge what they're doing, right? And 90% of the time, you don't. Reina's buttons are too fast. She has too many good small Tekken tools. Her lows are annoying. Her jabs and down for one are very annoying, right? And you're just not going to win out in this like brawling war with her. So you need to focus more on how to set up a block punish or a whiff punish. Right. What happened here? Oh, you tried to jab. I don't disagree with the idea. This is more of a matchup thing. Jabbing against online Reinas especially is always going to be a bit of a toss up. They love doing some shit that's like -8, -9 on block, and then immediately crouching in your face. You'll try to counter jab them, and then they'll go full crouch down forward four or whatever their stupid mid kick launcher from full crouch is, right? The meal kick or whatever. And that's not on you. I think you had the right idea, but you have to again adjust your expectations not from how the game should be played, but what's in front of you on screen. And jabbing against online Reinas, you want to do that when you're very certain they're not going to just start ducking you and trying to do their stupid like mid-low stuff, right? I use a lot of 3-2 in neutral. I'm not going to harp on it too much. I'm just going to tell you, don't don't do it. Don't use 3-2 in neutral unless you know the opponent's not gonna block it or not gonna launch you for it, right? The Brian wasn't really doing it either. The Reina's not really punishing you that hard either. They don't know their matchup at all, right? They just know like basics, I guess, right? They probably know that down 1+2 is punishable on block or some shit. They're not going to know all the crazy stuff. And that's just going to be a running theme is that a lot of players online don't know the matchup like specifics. They're not going to know quarter circle back 2 is -14 on block, right? They'll know that down 1+2 is launch punishable, I guess. But they're not going to have that innate defensive knowledge, right? They're just going to be running their offense. So you have to be the one to do your homework figure out what their offense is, how to counter that offense, and create opportunities for yourself. You tried to roll dash in, and I'm not sure why. What did she do? Roll forward 3. So she did sentai into forward 3. I don't know. I don't agree with the roll dash, but I do agree that, you know, maybe ducking and holding down forward, anticipating a low parry would be ideal. Don't do the forward dash. Don't do quarter circle forward 3. Don't bother with that, right? You're way too close for quarter circle stuff to really work out in your favor. You know, learn your throw base, it's whatever. Unfortunate. I mean, it worked out, it's whatever. Why the back one too? Okay, and again, so wait, what did you block? I will chuck that up to lack of matchup knowledge, I guess. I don't know why you would do down 1+2 there, right? The Reina knows, or at least seen it enough to know that it's launch punishable. Maybe they don't know it's exactly -16 or whatever. That was kind of whack. What did you do? You tried to do quarter circle back 4. Okay. I don't disagree with the idea. I think it's just another thing of, like, you have to be very careful, right? So think about it like this. This Reina does a lot of attacks, like a lot of flips, a lot of kicks, a lot of tricks. They don't run up to you, and you don't have. I'm still working on it as well. I don't know where to place quarter circle back 4 consistently in the Reina matchup, right? But what I do know is, and against this Reina, I don't think it'll work out that often because she's doing a bunch of rolling on the ground, avoiding highs and shit like that. I don't think quarter circle back 4 is your ideal answer here, right? So you have to understand that, like, you can't just be throwing that out there. You have to be more mindful against specifically this style of opponent where they like to approach with a lot of, like, rolls and other weird stuff, right? She's just got crazy ass range. This character is really dumb. So again, this is what I'm talking about. You have to be more comfortable blocking, especially against Reina, but especially against online Reinas that play like this, where they start throwing stuff out and whatever move they press will likely close the gap faster than you can. So try to get more comfortable just holding back. Yeah, it's the same issue, right? Like, she had heat, she was gonna heat burst whatever you did. That's tough. I don't know. I think you should have just stayed on the ground, but it's hard to say because then they can run up and do stomps or something, right? Here, I think this is where it starts. I still don't like the back sway 2 as a round starter, but because what she did was, like, pretty punishable, right? I'm pretty sure it's at least -12. Anything -12, you know, Paul's golden, right? As long as it's -12, right? So the idea here is not bad. I'm still in the camp of, I think you just need to be blocking more. Okay, so this tells you two things. One, this Reina does not understand that this is a 3D game and they can move around, right? And maybe they're caught in a deer in the headlights moment, which is completely fair, right? But they're just holding back. They are not built for movement, clearly. And that should, whenever this situation happens, that's something that should tell you, like, oh, they will not move around too much. So you are free to start using your more linear moves, your moves that are maybe kind of, you know, riskier to use, like quarter circle back 1, quarter circle back 2, down forward 4. All of those that would lose to, like, sidestep right, you can use them a lot more because this Reina's just not going to do it, right? If anything, and when this round started, the Reina did sidestep left, right? And I'm not sure if it's because they're playing on the quote-unquote wrong side or some shit. But you be more mindful, just be very mindful of what information the opponent gives you. If something as slow as down 1-2 holds, like down 1 charge 2, when that works, you know this opponent, when they're on defense, is just very passive. They're just going to block until they figure something out, when they can mash a button, or they know like, oh, I can press something here, right? Yeah, right. Here you're just a little too passive. You have heat. You need, don't back away, right? Be a wall, right? You should be ideally your opponent's back is the wall when you have heat, but you don't have it here because the stage is huge. It's whatever, right? But you should be a wall. I think you're trying to. You try to approach here, right? So I like what you're doing here. You just need to have a little bit more practice on maximizing it. I think you had the right idea, especially here, right? You kind of let them run in and do what they want. You have the life lead, so they have to approach you if they actually want to do anything this round. Super solid here, right? Where does it fall apart? That should have been a death fist instantly, right? And I think you have the good foundation built up, but you're not capitalizing on the opportunities that you get from that foundation. You're trying to backdash, you're trying to utilize movement. You had a huge whiff punishment opportunity, especially as Paul in heat, and then it just passes you by, right? So I think try to play more in this style. Super compact, don't press too many buttons unless you know they're going to get blocked, right? And then against these online players that are just going to be pressing buttons all day, right? You let them press the button and then you punish them. Super simple, right? What do you do when you fight a player that turtles up? That's a different video. That's a different story. For right now, the style that you're playing is you need to recognize what you're fighting first and then play to that style. If you're fighting a turtle, then do what works against turtles. But in here, you're not fighting a turtle. You're fighting someone that is giving you a lot of potential opportunities, but you're not able to take advantage of them. One, because you're mashing on defense too much, and then two, when you do get those opportunities, you're not fully capitalizing on it, right? And don't get me wrong, it is completely understandable for stuff like that to happen. Everybody does it. I did it. I still do it, right? But I'm just trying to highlight like that should be your mindset. It's like if the opponent is whiffing a button, you are punishing them, right? Ideally, that should be the goal. Oh, it works out. Hot damn, I gave that speech for nothing. Is it because they mashed after? Yeah, they did. Oh, this shit's so funny. Oh god, I love online Tekken. Right. But that's the idea here. You know what you're fighting against. Let this opponent press all the buttons they want, right? And then you just whiff punish them. Sweet combo. I like this. I like using this ender, set up the Oki. Beautiful, right? Perfect. Actually perfect. So try to incorporate that playstyle a little bit more, right? Just block when the punishment opportunity arises. You have to be sharp to recognize it and to take advantage of it. I don't know what that was about, right? But you're just letting your opponent, get free damage for no reason. I like this idea here. So I really like using quarter circle forward 3 a lot more, right? So, but again, you just got to be more comfortable spacing it, right? At that tip range, you recognize that it hits a tip range, and most of the time, standing 3 is not going to reach, right? That's where down forward 4 comes in. That's where quarter circle forward 3+4 comes in. That's where, maybe down 1, quarter circle back 2, or quarter circle back 1, right? And these moves that are typically more linear, I think quarter circle forward 3+4 might have some tracking. It's really slow, but it tracks pretty decently, I want to say. It doesn't matter how linear your moves are because this Reina doesn't understand it's a 3D environment, right? Actually, I shouldn't say that. The Reina is not showing you that they will sidestep, right? They are not sidestepping, and you need to take advantage of that. Good duck. See, right here, beautiful duck. You called out their offensive habit because they're autopiloting their forward forward 2 into Sentai 3, but you are not capitalizing on it, right? That should have been wall standing 2. You did wall standing 1 maybe out of habit, but I think the foundation is there, right? Look at the round. Look at the difference between, just watch this replay again and then look at the difference between the earlier rounds, right, where you're mashing and doing a bunch of extra stuff on defense that you don't need to, versus the round here where you're still kind of taking some unnecessary risks. We'll talk about this in a second, but it's going much stronger. The Reina's kind of just freaking out, throwing out everything that they can, and you're just blocking. Super simple, right? Here in this situation, you got to start. This is where you need to understand this is a 3D game. Sidestep right or sidewalk right against this. Reina will whiff her twin axle, hell axle, whatever the fuck this thing's called, hunting hawk, heihachi hawk, whatever it's called, and then you will have the perfect setup, right? It doesn't have to be a sidewalk, just a simple sidestep right, and their back is perfectly aligned for you to do 3-2 back 1+2, right? Perfect back turn punish. So you got to call this out with movement, and then you get a huge opportunity for it, right? So a little bit of matchup knowledge, and then a little bit of awareness. And yes, the Reina can do other things, right? So they're going to do Hunting Hawk again. And then they do their homing high, which you called out with the duck, which was good. Just needed to be a little bit quicker. I recommend dick jab or wall standing 4, right? To disrupt the kick. And you have to take a risk sometimes, right? But here's the thing. If you risk a sidestep right and they do the homing high, you get like 30-40 damage on you, whatever. That sucks. It's annoying. If they risk the hunting hawk, right? I'm pretty sure, I don't think it's called hunting hawk. I think it's called hell axle, twin axle. I don't know, whatever it's called, right? They risk you doing a sidestep right, and then they eat 100+ damage because of your back turn punish, right? Sometimes you just have to take the risk and make the read, because the reward is huge and the risk you're taking is arguably minimal, right? Her answers to discourage sidestepping against the hunting hawk are annoying, yes, and they exist. Every option in Tekken has an equal and opposite reaction or option or whatever, but I don't think it's enough to discourage you from calling out when they go for their offensive flowcharts like that. Pops the heat. Again, don't... tragic. I understand the desire, right? I totally get it. Forward 4 is really big. It's got a lot of range, and you're not sure when to use it. And you're like, oh, well, I can use this here. With the fucking heat-seeking missile mid heat smashes all these characters have, I don't think it's what you want to do, right? You want to be very careful, and especially against a Reina like this that's just willing to spend the heat right away. They're not thinking about strategic use of heat, right? Their offensive habits clearly show that they're willing to spend it ASAP to get that huge offensive pressure from the heat smash getting blocked. So with that in mind, just block, right? Just block. All right. I don't really have much else to say with the Brian match. Yeah. You know what? Let's just do it. Okay. It was like the very last round, I think. He gets it, right? Yeah, he gets it. Right. So he sees you whiffing this string from light years away and doesn't whiff punish you, and then keeps stand blocking, right? Keeps stand blocking. So again, 4 games in, and this opponent is still just very, very stand blocking, very not like, oh, let me duck here and get like a launch punish or anything like that, right? It's opponent that will show you that you need to start doing those. I'm not sure why, again, this is like almost a night and day difference between the Reina gameplay. You still have this awkward habit of doing down 1+2 to disrespect the opponent. Try to cut back on that, because if that's your defensive habit, it's just, you're asking for a world of hurt, right? Again, why are you doing the mids, right? This opponent has not ducked like at all. And you see as a result like the issues with that, right? They try to start moving around. You start throwing them, right? This all works out, but then you immediately go low to try and get some more pressure, and they're in this high intensity situation. They're more likely to block low. But throughout the set, right? If you just look at some of the matches, a lot of stand blocking. He doesn't duck the down forward one. He doesn't duck the core circle forward three. He's never ducking your 3-2 like at all, right? Against these types of players, challenge them a bit more. Use forward 1+2 to set up a frame trap, or just start throwing them and start doing lows. Right. I said my piece on the Brian match. Punishment, neutral, punishment slash matchup knowledge, combo slash OK, personal opinion stuff. Neutral. Overall, I think you have the right idea on certain aspects of your neutral. You try to use quarter circle back four, you try to use quarter circle forward three, and you try to and you do try to set up your punishment, right? I don't think there's glaring issues with your gameplay besides you use 3-2 way too much, even in the Reina match, and you use down 1+2 on offense a lot, and I'm not sure why, right? Try to incorporate jabs. Try to under recognize when you can be more greedy, right? Like against the Brian, he's just stand blocking all day. That should be a clear sign for you to go throws and lows, right? Against the Reina, when they're mashing, throwing out every button in existence, that should be a clear sign to you to go, I need to block and then look for my whiff punishment opportunities with movement, right? Mm, punishment slash matchup knowledge. I'm not going to talk too much about like character specific matchup knowledge besides like the one time I mentioned the Reina thing. I think the issue right now is that you need to work on recognizing the type of opponent you're facing and getting better at understanding what type of offense will work against them, right? If they're passive, lows, throws, pressure them to the wall. If they're aggressive, block. Just block, right? Sometimes, yeah, you'll want to call out with a reversal or an armor move. That's whatever. Some other times you just need to block, right? Match knowledge. I want to talk about combo slash Oki. I thought your combos were solid. I thought your combos were fine. Your Oki was okay. I don't think there's anything glaring issues. I don't have anything there. Personal opinion stuff. More down forward four, right? I'm not seeing enough down forward four. I'm not seeing enough forward 1+2 to set up frame traps or set up pressure. I think you can be a lot more liberal with quarter circle forward three, even in the Reina match, right? Just just do it. Anytime they're stand blocking, right? I think I'll talk about that later. Anytime they're stand blocking, just start doing quarter circle forward three. Start doing throws. Force them to duck. Force them to mash. Right? Just start slamming those lows and see what happens. Look how your opponent responds and then adjust your offense accordingly. If I really had any area that I'd recommend you really work on is kind of just again, I think your playstyle is solid, but you need to focus more on capitalizing on those opportunities that you get. If the opponent's whiffing a button in front of you, you need to whiff punish them hard. If the opponent is just passively stand blocking you, start doing a lot more lows and throws, right? And I think you want to get more used to you want to start flooring it with the offensive option and then quickly figuring out when to stop, right? When do they start ducking and they start blocking your lows and you just want to get more comfortable figuring that out, right? That's about it for me. I think that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, man. All right, take care.